Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. I'm Emmanuel, I'm an Airbus pilot, and welcome to the FlyByWire Airbus A380 in Flight Simulator 2024 again. I'm sure you all will remember our flight from Munich to Bangkok a couple of months back. I sure hope that you have enjoyed your extended winter vacation, but now it's time to get back. Unfortunately, we got stuck on our departure in Bangkok yesterday evening, so the flight had to be delayed by half a day and is now departing in the early morning to make it a daylight flight back home to Munich. Now follow me inside as we're going to take a seat on the captain's seat of our lovely Airbus A380, which once again I can only emphasize how much of a wonderful job FlyByWire did creating this. But now it's time to actually get flying, take a seat on the captain's seat, and prepare ourselves for a 12-hour service over to Munich. We're going to take a seat on the captain's seat here, and then we can start powering the aircraft up. So our engine master switches are turned off, the start selector is in the normal position, the weather radar is currently also turned off, landing gear lever is down, and the wiper selectors are off. Then let's go ahead and turn on our batteries, and thereafter the external power units 2, 3, 1, and 4. And then let's give it a little while here to actually start booting up. In the meantime, we can go ahead and start up our electronic flight bag and also tune a couple of the frequencies. But look at that, 1215 and 1228 are already pre-selected and tuned and active. Perfect, so that is exactly what we need here. Then our displays are coming to life. Let's continue with the APU fire test. Looking good, and then we can start up our APU. Okay. So master switch is going on, and then the starter switch is also going on. Nav lights coming on, and IRSs 1, 2, and 3 are also going into the nav position. Now, at this point, we are going to do the recall for 3 seconds, and nothing comes up. That means there are no stored faults. The logbook is looking good. We only have the second standby instrument inoperative today, but we'll just assume that we don't need it for today's flight. Aircraft configuration, standard A380-800, and we do not have any OEBs on today's aircraft. And with that, our plane is accepted for service. Now let's go into our flight plan for a bit and start analyzing what we are going to do today. So for that, I will bring up the SimBrief flight plan from Bangkok to Munich on the Lufthansa 773 on this 4th of January 2025. Departure is planned at 0130, so that's going to be in roughly half an hour, and we are expected to be on time for this one, because as you can see, even though we are already going like 12 hours delayed, we don't want to delay it any further than the new schedule, since we have a lot of connecting passengers as well. This is our route of flight, which is a fairly direct one, crossing the Gulf of Bengal down here, and thereafter mostly overland except for a short sector over the Black Sea. Looking at the significant weather chart, we are facing good weather conditions all over until Pakistan, where we are crossing a couple of jet streams, which might bring along a little bit of turbulence, but thereafter it's good weather conditions again across Iran, and later on another couple of jet streams in Turkey until we make it into Germany. And only over Germany, over here, we have that little jet stream with a marking number 1, which could bring us some moderate turbulence until flight level 250. Then let's continue into the exact weather analysis. Over here, the first thing we can notice is that the SIGMATs are rather empty, which isn't exactly granted when flying from Asia. But going a little bit further down, our departure airport Bangkok is showing us good conditions and CAV OK. Munich, CAV OK as well. However, it might get a little bit snowy and a little bit low clouds, but nothing that shouldn't impact our operations. Our outlet Frankfurt, likewise, is forecast good and getting into the low cloud region as well. Apart from that, we do have Zurich, however, which has very good weather conditions, so Zurich would always be an option for us. So if we take a look into the flight plan, then we'll find that for Zurich we need around 7,200 kilos of fuel versus 8,500 for Frankfurt. So we can go to Zurich anytime if we need to. and we will have sufficient fuel. I do suggest, however, that since I have not flown any long haul with the latest version of the A380 in a little while, that we are going to take a little bit extra. So if 163 tons is the minimum, we are going to make it 165, then we have like 10 minutes extra fuel, and well, that's something, isn't it? Alright, so 165 tons of fuel is going to be our plan. Then let's put that flight plan away again, and we can turn on the APU bleed so that it gets nice and comfy for our passengers, seeing that the outside temperature is currently still 23 degrees. Okay, so that much for our basics. Let's continue our pre-flight then. Let's get that table out over here. And let's get rid of that annoying GSX window. And then we are going to do our preliminary takeoff performance calculations, which we are going to do straight within SimBrief. So takeoff performance, A380-800 runway 02 right, and we are going to shorten that length by 200 meters just, oh well, let's make that 100 meters just for the sake of it. So takeoff weight, 513 tons to be on the safe side here. Flex setting to be used, weather is looking good, then let's hit calculate. And it suggests us flaps to takeoff at 50 degrees, select the temperature, and our takeoff speeds are looking good. Stop margin 115 meters. So far so good. Then let's bring our performance out of view again and continue with our safety checks. So we have enough oxygen quantity on board for the flight. We have enough hydraulic quantity. And looking at the engine oil quantity, let's power up the FADEC. But unfortunately we can see that it's indicating 0. Well, that is a known fly-by-wire issue, so nothing to complain about. Okay, the flaps do agree with the flap lever, the ground spoilers are retracted, then let's release our brake here momentarily and bring us over onto the wheels. Now let's check our brakes, and that is looking very good. Parking brake is set again, and with that we are done with our preliminary cockpit preparation. So if you want to go out for the walk around, then I am going to prepare the cockpit in the meantime. So cockpit oxygen crew supply on, flight data recorder on, our external lights are set, fasten seatbelt signs on, no mobile sign on, emergency exit lights armed. Then let's move up here. Cockpit temperature, we'll certainly turn that into the middle position. The cabin temperature is going to be controlled by the purser, making it nice and easy. And then let's turn on those fuel pumps. Like that. We already completed the fire test. And on the right hand side there is not much we gotta do. Now let's move over to the front again and actually import our flight plan from SimBrief. And I am also going to load up our departure over here. Victor Tango Bravo Sierra. Weather conditions QNH 1013 and the wind is northeasterly at 7 knots. Clear skies 24 degrees. Wonderful. I'd love to be there right now. Okay. Then let's prepare our departure charts 02 right, and we take the SID chart to the north, and we also take the aerodrome ground chart and the parking stands on the south. Then let's bring that SID chart up and see what we've got on here. Also, we will go over to the SimBrief dispatch and import the flight plan from there so that we have the latest data available, as we're about to go into the FMS preparation. So let's give it a go. A380-800, Rolls-Royce Trent engines, and the nav database is current. Then let's go on to the flight plan initialization and request the company flight plan. Uplink insertion in progress. It's gonna take a little while. We can make good use of that time though and go over to the electronic flight bag over here for a moment. Onto the ground tab, and we are going to load our payload as per what SimBrief has determined. And for the fuel, we said we wanted a tiny bit more, 165. So 165000 instant, and you can load that, please. Looking good. And now look at that, almost full. Almost. Well, 75%. It can fly a couple hours further. Okay, so 165 tons are on board. Company flight plan is received. Let's insert that. So we are Lufthansa 773 from Bangkok to Munich with the alternate in Frankfurt. Cruise level 340 initially, cost NX30. And the wind component is going to be an average headwind of 48 knots. So the IRS has aligned on the GPS position. That's looking good. Then we can go for the departures. So runway 2 right. And our SID is going to be the Pasto 1 hotel departure. Here it is. And we can insert that. For the arrival into Munich, we're expecting runway 8 right. The approach is going to be the ILS, and we are planned on the NAPSA 4 Alpha arrival, but we will take the NAPSA 08 transition instead. Temporary flight plan, insert the temporary, and then let's go ahead and check that our waypoints and star are indeed correct. So Pasto 1 hotel is that one over here. So going straight ahead to the departure end of runway, then waypoint 129, 130, 131, 132 between 8 and 10,000. And that is checked over here. Then we continue via 133 above 11,000, 134 above 140, and then towards Pasto. And that means our initial climb is taking us up to 10,000 feet over here. So ATC is probably going to give us something that may be a little bit lower, just to have that in our minds. Then let's go into the plan mode and actually skip through that entire route over here. There is a discontinuity right over here, which we can remove. Delete that and insert. Thank you. So now we're in the en route environment, so let's quickly scroll through that. Couple more discontinuities over here, which are probably not supposed to be there. Let's just cross-check that to be on the safe side here. So after November Hotel, we're supposed to be on the airway, Papa 757. So let's enter that. Airway via Papa 757. Not in database. Huh. Well, that's strange. It surely is. We didn't have any complaint from SimBrief. But okay. Well, I'll tell you what. We will just assume that ATC has advised us that we can just delete those. No. Funnily enough, something like this happens in the real world quite a lot, that you uplink the flight plan, and for some reason it just doesn't uplink certain airways. Now, in the real world, you can solve that rather easily by manually entering those airways, and normally that is not a problem at all. It's just that, you know, sometimes some things just don't go exactly the way you'd want. For the arrival into NAPSA, I will insert a restriction once we are in flight, because we can't do it just yet. Now let's go back to the init page. For the nav aids, we don't need anything hard tuned as far as I remember. Nope. And then on to the fuel and load. So we're planned at 347.8. So 347.8. The block fuel 165 tons. Taxi fuel, let's make that 1000 kilos in here to keep it simple. And then going down in our flight plan, we are looking for, look at that, 4.1 tons of contingency fuel. Alright, alternate 8.5, final reserves 4.7 is correct, and that gives us an extra of 17.8 tons. I don't trust that thing. I think we will have less than that. But let's find out. Okay, last but not least, we go into the performance and we can enter our takeoff data. And that comes from SimBrief again, so let's quickly have a look again. So we have flaps 2, 50 degrees, and 138, 151, 158. So, flex temperature, 50. I will use the takeoff shift of 100 meters in here as well. Then flaps 2 takeoff, and the speeds are 138, 151, 158. So 138, 151, and 158. Okay, packs on, reduction acceleration in 1000 feet each. Transition altitude 11,000, I believe, is correct. Let's see, Lido chart bottom right. Yep, 11,000 is correct. Okay, lovely. We don't need to enter anything on the pre-selection, so I am happy with it for the time. So, do we have any constraints over here? Nope, nothing that we need to enter yet. Alright, perfect. So that is our FMS entry completed. Optimum flight level 335, so it looks like we're pretty good with 340 as initial level over here. Alrighty, and that is our flight plan entry complete. Then let's move up to the FCU. I do expect something like 5,000 feet for the initial climb here. Constraints, airports, VORs, and traffic please. And the same on the other end side. Here we go. QNH 1013 is correct, our indicated elevation is correct as well, and with that I'm pretty happy with our setup. So, once you are ready, we can start our departure briefing, please. Thanks, so let's go for it. We are departing Bangkok of runway 02 right, and we are going to fly on the Pasto 1 hotel departure, initial climb probably 5,000, and the MSA on our route is 1,800 feet only. Okay, extra fuel, we'll see. We have around 2,000 kilos extra, which is some 10 minutes of flight time. Alright, no hotspots for the taxi routing, stop margin in case of rejected takeoff 138 meters, engine outset straight at 25 miles, pick up a holding over there, and climbing 3,000 feet. We are of course above the maximum landing weight, but if we need to make an immediate return, then that will be possible onto runway 02 right or runway 01. And if we have time, we are going to read either the overweight landing checklist or conduct a fuel dump. Only if we have absolutely no time available, we'll simply start the APU, turn on the APU bleed, so that we have maximum power from the remaining engines, and then we can come back immediately. We don't have a secondary flight plan in this aircraft, unfortunately. Now, the real one has 3 of them, but we don't have one in the FlyByWire at the moment. And in terms of special or non-standard operations, I can't offer you anything. Do you have any threats for this departure? No? Okay, wonderful. That's our departure briefing complete then. So let's go for the cockpit preparation checklist, please. Gear pins and covers removed. Fuel quantity 165,000 kilograms balanced. Barrel reference, QNH 1013. Okay, cockpit preparation checklist complete. So let's welcome our guests. And in the meantime, we can disconnect the external power units and tell GSX to prepare our position for pushback and departure, please. So that's in progress. Then let's say hello to our guests. Liebe Gäste, einen wunderschönen guten Morgen aus dem Cockpit. Mein Name ist Emanuel. Im Namen der Lufthansa darf ich Sie herzlich an Bord von Flug 773 nach Frankfurt begrüßen. Wir möchten uns erst einmal für die entstandene Verspätung entschuldigen, versprechen uns allerdings, dass wir uns jetzt schnellstmöglich auf den Weg machen werden in Richtung Frankfurt. Sagen wir lieber in Richtung München. und wir wünschen Ihnen jetzt einen schönen Aufenthalt bei uns an Bord. Wir erwarten einen weitestgehend ruhigen Flug, wir kreuzen allerdings immer wieder einige Starkwindfelder, sodass wir Sie bitten, angeschnallt sitzen zu bleiben, auch wenn die Anschnallzeichen ausgeschaltet sein sollten. Wir bedanken uns herzlich, dass Sie unsere Gäste sind, lehnen Sie sich zurück und genießen Sie den Flug mit uns. Wir melden uns dann im Anflug auf München mit den neuesten Wetterinformationen. Ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning from the flight deck. This is your captain speaking. My name is Emmanuel. In the name of Lufthansa, welcome aboard flight 773 to Munich. First of all, we would like to apologize again for the delay, but we promise that we are going to bring you to Munich as quickly as possible now. We expect mostly good weather conditions along our flight, however we are crossing some jet streams on our way, therefore we would like to ask you to remain seated with the seatbelt fastened, even if the fasten seatbelt sign is turned off. For now, thank you very much for your attention, sit back, relax and enjoy the flight with us, and if there is anything we can do for you to make it more enjoyable, please don't hesitate to ask any of our charming cabin crew. We will get back to you with the latest weather information when we start our approach to Munich, and in the meantime, we'd like to wish you a nice and comfortable stay on board. Thank you very much for your attention, and we look forward to serving you on our flight today. Okay, so let's get rid of our table, then we can go ahead and close our door, provided that we can actually find that click spot. Here it is. Okay, the flight deck door is closed, the ground equipment is connected, then let's do our latest performance and figures. So we've got a zero fuel weight at 147.8. And my apologies, 347.8. The plane's a little bit bigger than that. And 347.8 is in here. So center of gravity 35.0. And that's a gross weight CG of 39.7, which is roughly over here. Perfect. Okay, so our takeoff weight is unchanged. We can retain our previous data. The THS value over here will be 39.7, and the rest of the takeoff data is unchanged. Wonderful. Then let's talk to ground. Ground from flight deck? Go ahead. So please confirm all doors and hatches are closed, ground equipment is removed and the bypass pin is installed, and you are ready for pushback. That is all confirmed. Thank you very much. We'll get back to you in a moment. So it will be nose left. Then let's quickly go down here into the services, and we can disconnect the external power unit. Anything else is already removed. That is just wonderful. And then let's go ahead and prepare the airplane for our pushback. So request pushback, please. And before start checklist. Okay, park and brake. Set. Takeoff speeds and thrust. V1 138, VR 151, V2 158, flex 50. And that's the before start checklist complete. So, ground from flight deck? Yeah, go. So, clear to push, facing west, park and brake set. Release brakes. Park and brake released, you're clear to push, and let us know as soon as we can start our engines, please. Roger. And here we go, Airbus A380 again. Probably the best freeware aircraft that has ever been developed for any flight simulator. Well, not just probably, but most definitely. Some beautiful liveries as well. I'm really looking forward to this flight, that much I can tell you. Okay, flight from ground, you're clear to start the engines. Okay, thank you. Starting 1, 2, 3 and 4 in that sequence. Engine 1 and 2 start. Now listen to those sounds here. Is it me or is the nose wheel skidding a little bit down here? Probably a slight incompatibility between the A380 and Flight Simulator 2024. I could imagine. Okay, we have two good starts. Starting engines number 3 and 4. Clear 3, 4. Okay, engine 3 and engine 4 start. Alright, pushback should be completed any moment now. And indeed, pushback is complete. Set your park and brake. Park and brake set. Alright, OANS is ready, and the engines are powering up just nicely. We departed perfectly on time, 0130 was the schedule, and we have forward starts. Clear to disconnect, show me the pin on the right side please, and have a wonderful day, bye bye. Okay, probably still working on the pin. Yep, just removed it now. And here we go. So, here comes the tuck. And then we've still got to wait for the ramp agent who will arrive somewhere on the right hand side. Yeah, there he is. He's holding a pin in the hands. That is beautiful. Okay, hand signal is received. After start checklist, please. Anti-ice off. After start checklist complete. Flight controls. Full up, full down, neutral, full left, full right, neutral, rudder, full left, full right, neutral, clear on the left side, clear on the right side. Park and brake released. Let's go. Brake check. Pressure 0. So taxi is fairly straightforward. We go straight ahead over here. On to Delta, then Delta 10, Echo, and then we taxi to the full length for runway 02 right. Now the most difficult thing will be to judge our speeds correctly. So we will heavily rely on the ground speed readout that we can see on the top left of the nav display. We are taxiing on the apron over here, so 15 knots will be the maximum. Like that. Alright, back to idle power, and then let's taxi to the runway. We're going to clear the apron before doing any of the remaining work over here. So, one of the best advice I got during my line training when I transitioned onto the long hauls was that on long haul you take a long time for everything. You just don't rush it. And that's probably the best advice I've gotten in that entire training. You know, in short haul you're always going quick, you're always taxiing 30 knots. On short haul you make time up on the ground. On long haul you do it in the air. Okay, clear on the right side and clear on the left side. And speed down to 10 knots. Here we go, looking good. Clear on both sides. And then we'll go straight back to the right. You can see a lot of oversteering technique here. Just watch where the center line is. But that is really necessary taxiing a large airplane like this. Okay, clear on the right and clear on the left. Okay, wonderful. So, I have no changes to the takeoff briefing. Then let's do the procedures, please. So, weather radar is unfortunately inoperative at the moment. That's okay. So, taxi checklist. Flight controls. Checked. Flap setting. Conv 2. Radar. On. Taxi checklist complete. Okay, runway 02 right, here it is. And then, are you ready for departure? I guess that's a yes. Cabin crew, prepare for departure. Okay, we go to the full length. And then... So the packs do actually remain on in today's takeoff calculation. We'll do the lineup checklist once we are on a little bit of a straight line here. I don't want to do it while going through the turn. Clear on the approach.
Approaching 02 right.
Intentionally. Okay, lineup checklist. Takeoff runway 02 right, full length. Cabin crew advised, packs 1 and 2 on, lineup checklist complete. Are you ready? Takeoff.
On runway 02 right.
Manflex 50, SS runway, auto thrust blue. Thrust set. 100 knots. Rotate. Positive climb. Gear up. Nav. Checked. Once again, very good job to Fly-by-Wire for taming those engines. The initial pitch should be 12 degrees, and this is just wonderful here. Exactly the 12 degrees we're looking for. Really a joy to hand fly. Thrust climb, auto thrust. Flaps 1. Speed checked. Flaps 1. Flap 0. Speed checked. Flap 0. Autopilot 1. So that is looking pretty good. And Lufthansa 773 Super, climb via the SID to flight level 150. And there's 10,000 alt magenta. Alright, quick check that there is no after takeoff checklist, but I don't think there is. Nope, there isn't. Very good. So the rate of climb, the pitch, everything is a lot more realistic now than it used to be with the older versions. I like that very much. Lovely look outside. Bye bye Thailand. It's been a nice time. Lots of lovely food over here. And well, just 11 hours and 47 minutes until we are down in Munich. Alright then, let's have a quick look in here. The optimum is still indicated as flight level 335, that's very good. So 340 as SimBrief has calculated is the first cruising level indeed then. Now let's position our seat upwards a little bit so that we can still see something outside. Beautiful weather conditions, I gotta say. Really beautiful weather conditions. Okay, starting the first turnout. And I gotta say, this climbs much more like an Airbus than the previous versions did. Look at that. 8,000 feet, 5.5 minutes since we have set our takeoff thrust. Yeah, that sounds a lot more familiar. That sounds a lot more Airbus than what we saw in previous versions. Alright though, let's climb unrestricted. Open climb, alt 15,000 blue. Just want to get past the 10,000 foot restriction here at Bravo Sierra 132. Even though it's just 4.5 miles to get there, so it's almost a continuous climb anyway. So, then we're reaching 10,000. Lights off, let's wait a little bit with the signs until we have accelerated so that the pitch is continuously below 7. Then, I don't think there is anything to clear or copy. Well, the navrat page is not simulated. We didn't fix any VORs. The secondary is currently not simulated. So that's it. Remaining distance, 5,044 nautical miles. We'll see about the remaining fuel. But overall, a flight where I'm really looking forward, especially to the lovely views outside. Now let's go back into climb mode here. The plane wants to go 290 until Mach 0.84. That looks like a good schedule to me. And by the way, that is also something that FlyByWire have addressed in the development version here. Previously, the cruise speeds used to be more like Mach 8.2. Now they're in the region of about Mach 8.5, which is a lot more accurate than it used to be. Well, I'm just saying good things about it, then the optimum goes down and the maximum goes below the cruise level. I don't believe that though. I think the indications we had on the ground were a bit more reliable. So, release our guests please. Set standard. Standard cross check, passing flight level 111. Now. Okay, and with that we are up and on the way. So, enjoy the beautiful views out on the landscape. And then I see you all as we are approaching Munich, or if anything significant happens. Flight level 340 blue, and that's gonna be the cruise level. We're in the air for 11 hours now and about 120 miles from our top of descent, so let's go ahead and start to prepare the aircraft for our descent into Munich. Well, first of all, let's leave the GoPro perspective over here and go back to our standard captain's perspective. Now let's start by actually having a look at the latest weather information. And for that, since we want to use our Lido charts anyway, I kind of prefer to use the chart clip we have available right in here. So, Munich, weather, let's see what we've got over here. The wind is 105, KVK, temperature -1, QNH 1019. And we can pre-select that right up here. And then 1019 is going down here as well. Alright, looking good. So then let's see if Microsoft have done anything about that bug with the charts not showing up. And indeed they're all gone again. Okay. Fair enough. Luckily we do have Navigraph as our savior. So let's go right over into the Navigraph charts and pick our destination. Munich, we're coming in via the NAPSA 08 transition today, which is right down here. Our approach is going to be an ILS approach to runway 08 right, and we can prepare the taxi charts as well, provided that the EFB responds. Here we go. That's one of the few bugs that the A380 still seems to have in Flight Simulator 2024. You sometimes need to make multiple inputs to the electronic flight bag. But nonetheless, here we go. Everything is now prepared. So let's bring up the star chart, and here it is. So NAPSA is usually limited by air traffic control to something like level 130, if I'm not completely mistaken. Let's go ahead and insert that into our flight plan and see what kind of effect it'll have on our top of descent. So let's do NAPSA. Constraints, altitude. Altitude constraints not allowed at NAPSA. Now that is nonsense. But let me see, does it allow... Yeah, it does allow an altitude constraint a little bit later. Okay, well then we're gonna make it at Delta Mike 458, and we'll just place the constraint a little bit lower then. So 458 is some 10 miles behind NAPSA, so let's make that 10,000 if we want to be in 13 by NAPSA. So 10,000 feet in here, and we can insert that temporary flight plan. Then let's wait for it to recalculate the VNAV path. Here we go, and that places our top of descent in 63 miles. Which looks fairly fine to me. And we'll now pass NAPSA in level 124. That's fair enough for me. Little improvisation, but if it works, then I'm not gonna complain about it. Now let's go over to the plan mode here and start checking out our flight plan and our approach. So coming in via NAPSA to waypoint 458, then we have the entire downwind over here, and eventually we are going to turn to the final approach. For that, let's take the ILS chart onto runway 08 right, starting at Bagan. And they do have one waypoint before that in the database on the extended center line. That is fine for me. The important thing starts here at Bagan, and we have 3-degree glide, as we can see on the right side here. Now at 4.1 DME, we have a check altitude at 2,780. Which we have in the box, and then the missed approach straight ahead. Come on. That seems to have some problems dragging that chart. In any case, the missed approach takes us straight ahead to 1 DME from Delta Mike Sierra on 1900, whichever is later, then a right turn to Ottersberg climbing 5000, and we do indeed have that in our box. Well, let's go to the nav aids then. VOR1 is going to become Oscar Tango Tango, that's the Ottersberg. Over here, and number 2, DME Munich South, 15.0, so we got 12.3 and 15.0, the ILS frequency is correct. Then on to the performance, and over there we can bring the EFB up one more time. So the temperature is -1, that means we need to do a cold temperature correction. However, the only thing we really need to calculate or to correct here is going to be the minimums, because any of the other altitudes is not really relevant. So wind 100 at 5, the temperature is -1, and the QNH 1019. Okay. So let's see, our minimum according to the chart is 1686. Now the minimum is 200 above the ground, and if we look into the table, that gives us an increment of 20 feet, so the new minimum is going to be 1706. Like that. Alright, we can do a config 3 landing over here, since we have a rather long rollout anyway. Reduction in acceleration and engine out acceleration in 3000 each. The transition is wrong though, it should be in... yeah, flight level 60, that is correct over here. So I'm not sure where it takes that data from on the go-around page, but that does not seem correct to me. Okay, so that is our setup already completed. So destination estimated fuel on board is 13.6, the minimum is 13.2. So it was a good thing after all that we took a little bit of extra here, because seemingly the aircraft still burns a little bit more than we were supposed to burn. We can see it over here as well. We have already burned 149.4, and according to Simbrief, the total burn for the entire flight should have been 146 tons. So we've already burned 3,000 more. Now, we didn't get a step climb en route, but that shouldn't have caused such a big deviation, I think. Well, in any case, secondary is currently not simulated. TCAS can go into below. That's set, and with that we basically have everything prepared now. So let's go for our break to vacate. And for that we're going for our airport, Munich, and display. Now let's wait until it has actually loaded Munich. Here we are. So landing runway is 08 right. We will vacate via Bravo 12 in order to shorten down the taxi time, and BTV armed. So we have 2,320 meters to the exit, so we can take the things very slow today. Plenty of space everywhere. Alright. So, are you ready for the approach briefing? I'd probably say so. Okay, so we'll fly the NAPSA 08 transition for an ILS approach onto runway 08 right. The minimum temperature corrected 1706, and go around straight at with a right hand turn at 1 DME Delta Mike Sierra or 1900, and then to Ottersberg to hold. Climbing 5,000 feet. Extra fuel is pretty much zero. Alright, thank you for that. So the approach will be flight director guided but manually flown, probably manual thrust as well. Landing config 3 stop margin is about 1,700 meters. Reversers will be used on idle, auto brakes BTV, and we plan to vacate the runway via Bravo 12. I don't see any hotspots for our taxi in, and I have no special operations and nothing non-standard over here. Threats for the arrival? None. I like that. Alright, that's our briefing completed. Then let's say bye-bye to our passengers. Liebe Gäste, einen wunderschönen guten Nachmittag aus dem Cockpit. Hier spricht Ihr Kapitän. Wir werden in Kürze einen Sinkflug in Richtung München starten. Das Wetter derzeit klarer Himmel, die Temperatur -1 Grad und ein leichter Ostwind. Wir bedanken uns, dass Sie heute Lufthansa geflogen sind, entschuldigen uns noch einmal für die entstandene Verspätung, wünschen Ihnen dennoch einen schönen Aufenthalt und gegebenenfalls eine gute und sichere Weiterreise. Wir hoffen, Sie bald wieder an Bord eines unserer Flugzeuge willkommen zu heißen, dann auch auf einen pünktlichen Flug. Bedanken uns jetzt aber erst einmal, dass Sie heute unsere Gäste waren und hoffen, Sie bald wiederzusehen. Vielen Dank für Ihre Aufmerksamkeit. Ladies and gentlemen from the flight deck, this is your captain speaking. We will start our descent towards Munich in the next couple of minutes. The weather at the moment, clear skies and a temperature at -1 degree. We would like to thank you very much for being our guests today. Hope that you have enjoyed the flight as much as we did, and we look forward to welcome you again on board of future scheduled service. In the meantime, thank you very much for your attention. Thank you for flying Lufthansa today. We hope you enjoyed the stay on board despite the delays, and we hope to see you all again soon. Thank you very much for your attention, and we wish you a nice and safe continuous journey. Alright, I think that's everyone dealt with. Then let's speed this up once again a little bit, and I see you all getting closer towards Munich. In the meantime, we can tidy that cockpit up a little bit. Well, and then I see you a tad later. The airport is in sight on the right-hand side out of the window over here. Besides, beautiful little lake that we're flying over just in the front, but I suppose we shouldn't stare out of the window that much, but much rather do a little bit of flying, so let's get right to it. Now, you can see we're already on a radar heading that ATC has taken us on, and we can now descend to 5,000 feet on the QNH 1019.
Altimeter 7.
So that's thrust dial open descent alt 5000 blue. We're maintaining selected speed right now. Then let's go ahead and do our 10,000 foot checks here. So landing lights on, seatbelts on, LS is selected. And then we can also go ahead and activate the approach phase already. And confirm that. Thank you. So let's quickly tidy up our flight plan. And we'll do that with a direct to Delta Mike 441. Like that. And pull heading. Okay, and then let's delete the turning point over here so that it sequences 441 to be the from waypoint and Begen to become the to waypoint, and like that we have our flight plan nicely tidied up. Now the approach officially starts in 5,000 feet. I have a feeling that we are going to go a little bit lower though and might just cut into it a little bit. So somewhere down to 4,000 or so. But we'll make that dependent on our actual aircraft position in a few moments. So you can see we're descending pretty well here at 2,000 feet a minute. With those 20 knots of headwind, that means we are getting below the profile rather rapidly. Which we could actually correct and just go vertical speed over here. Let's do 1,000 feet a minute. Take things nice and slow. So, speed, vertical speed. Okay, approach checklist please. Barrel reference, QNH 1019. Minimum, Barrel 1706. Auto brake, BTV, approach checklist complete. So, that sounds very good to me. Then we have around 1,600 feet that we need to cover. Base turn in about 3 miles. That looks very well. The aircraft seems to have quite a lot of drag, so I'm not worried about slowing it down at all. Alright then, let's go ahead and have a little bit of fun. So, autopilot. Well, unfortunately, the actual disconnect button within the sim doesn't seem to work, so we gotta kill it over here. And then turn right, heading 350. We'll start reducing our speed simultaneously here. Thrust dial open descent. 1000 to go is checked. And approaching heading 350. Full vertical speed. The idea behind that is to get auto thrust into speed mode. Looks like we'll have a slight tailwind there, about 5 knots on the final. So manage speed. And then turn right, heading 050, cleared ILS approach, runway 08 right. Altstar, Lockstar, Cat 1. Flaps 1. Speed checked. Flaps 1. Alt. And localizer alive. Look at how the wind turned. It's now a southerly wind at some 20 knots. That's the reason we went through that localizer here. Okay, flaps 2. And then speed 160 until... well, 170 until 5. I think that's the standard we can expect in Munich mostly. So that's 170 selected. Fly slope, go around altitude 5000 set. So the aircraft maintains the speed very nicely while maintaining the glide slope with the engines in idle. Lock. So as mentioned, 170 until 5 is a typical speed restriction
2,500.
checked that we can expect. However, we are still going to configure the aircraft as normal. So when about 2000 above the ground, we'll go gear down. Then we can already select our landing flaps in config 3 so that we have all the drag available once we need it. Alright, gear down. And flaps 3. Speed checked, flap 3. So approaching 5 DME, manage speed. And landing checklist please. Landing checklist complete. Look at how nicely it's slowing down when you already have the drag of the landing gear available. That's working very, very well. Okay, auto thrust off. And then, full manual. Let's enjoy the landing here in Munich. After 11.5 hours of flight time from Bangkok. Something that is worth mentioning is how they have improved the localizer and the glide slope here in Munich. If you remember our first flight with the 747 coming here,
1,000.
checked. If you remember that first flight with the 747, we were almost approaching the taxiway, but that has seen dramatic improvement with some of the first patches of the simulator. And now the ILS is actually pretty accurate in the sim most of the time.
Approaching 08 right.
Checked.
500. 500.
So, it's actually very easy to follow the glide slope in this aircraft. You just gotta ensure that you do only very small corrections. Land.
300. 100 above.
Checked. Always looks so incredibly high in the A380.
Minimum.
Continue. But we're on the glide, so that's all I need to know.
50, 40, 30, 20, 10, 5.
Spoilers! Reverse green BTV. $70 knots. And then we'll not take this one, but the one thereafter. One of the good things about, well, manual brakes. One of the good things about flying an A380 is that due to the wake turbulence separation needed behind the Super, there is just so much space that you really don't need to worry about vacating the runway too quickly. Because the next inbound aircraft is going to be miles away behind you anyway. And here we are. So, 30 knots at the exit. We didn't really need the BTV at all here, but you can see we really nicely got down to the exit. Alright, 1 hour and 38 minutes of flight time. And with that, I welcome you all to Munich Airport. Okay, let's bring it down to taxi speed, and then we go off to the left. Our parking gate is going to be 251. That way we have a nice and easy taxi. Oh, and some nice and easy stutters. No, I don't want a pushback direction, I want the parking gate, my friend. Well, first of all though, no after landing checklist. And then, off screen, I'm just restarting Throttle to see if I can get GSX to work again. Would be nice if we had a marshal off for the taxi in, but if not, then not. Look at how nicely it's accelerating on idle thrust once again. Really need to apply brakes here. So, down to 10, now we can let it accelerate again for a bit. GSX, here we go. So, gate, too suitable. I tend to say there will be a little more. So, gate 250. We don't need to follow me. And handling by someone. Alright, there comes the gate. So, lights off. And here we go. Alright, A380 is on the guidance system. Look at how the airplane is accelerating all the time. Really makes it hard to keep it at a decent speed. Okay, and stop. So, park and brake set. And shutdown. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Cabin crew, all doors in park. Alrighty, here we are. So, engines are coming down. Let's give them a few moments to disarm the slides. And then beacon off. Slides are disarmed. Seatbelts off. And fuel pumps off. Alright, parking checklist please. Park and brake our trucks. That's the brake set. Wing light off. Parking checklist complete. So then, let's get ourselves some ground services here. And we can go for the ground power unit please. Then you may also get us a jet bridge. And, well, no trucks over here anywhere, it seems. That's fair enough. So, excellent power is on. We'll keep the APU until the passengers have disembarked. And, well, with all of that, all I can say is thank you so much for flying along with us. I hope you enjoyed the ride, and welcome back to the freezing winter conditions of Munich. I do hope you enjoyed your stay in Thailand. I hope to see you all again on the channel in the sooner future. As always, be sure to like, comment and subscribe, as that's the only way to improve the channel. And if you really love what I'm doing over here, I would appreciate a small donation through the Buy Me Coffee link in the video description below. Thank you for watching, and see you all again on the next one.